If you travel to the remote western border of Thailand, you'll come to the town of Mae Sot and the Moi River, which separates Thailand from the country of Myanmar. This is a country of tigers and dragons and mythical creatures, pagodas and cities of pagodas, vibrant markets in every town, ancient traditions, remnants of the British, and the strange infusion of the old into the new. Welcome to the ever mysterious and lovely country of Myanmar. When you cross from Thailand, Mae Sot, Thailand, into Myanmar, the road on the Myanmar side is so bad that the traffic only goes in one direction each day. So you get to the border, you find out what direction the road is going that day, and then you can time your attempt to cross the border and continue onward into Myanmar, and you have to have your Myanmar visa, and we've gotten that from Phnom Penh already. So after you've got to Mae Sot in Thailand, you figured out which direction the road is going, you can plan your journey into Myanmar. You've got to have your visa. They do not give them on the Myawaddy side of Myanmar. So once you get over there, the border guards will check your passport, they'll check your visa, and then they will arrange for you a shared taxi transport. You'll share a car with whoever else is there crossing the border at that time. And they will get you onward towards the next town, which is called Mot Yam Yine. And from Mot Yam Yine, you will stay the night in the river there, along the riverbank, and you can then get a bus from there to the town of Taton, where you can spend the night and continue on the next day to get to Yangon. And it's quite a journey. I don't know if that road is even still open anymore, from the Thailand to Myawaddy border, going one direction each way. I'm curious to know if it's still open. But anyway, that's how you do it, and then eventually you will get to fantastic Yangon, Myanmar. So after traveling for a couple of days through spectacular Myanmar countryside, you arrive in the city of Yangon. I like to stay down here around Sule Pagoda. There's a beautiful park here with government buildings and a mosque, and it's just a very relaxed environment. There's shops and restaurants on the side streets, and Myanmar epitomizes, Yangon, all of Myanmar and Yangon epitomizes the idea of traveling, that just being there is good enough. You don't have to be going anywhere. Sure, there's some great sights to see in Yangon, but just being there and walking through the fantastic markets and eating food that you've never eaten before and probably will not eat anywhere else but in this country. Some of it very delicious, some of it not really to my liking, a little fishy for me, from a lot of fermented fish paste and just about everything. Some of the dishes are absolutely delicious, memorably delicious, cooked and served to you by lovely people who are very friendly and excited to talk to you. Most people speak really good English, and I enjoyed my time in Yangon. I probably spent a couple of weeks there. I always stay here on this street in a very, what I would call, authentic hotel, to put it kindly, and not for people who require extreme cleanliness in their overnight habitats, but it certainly is full of character. You meet other other Myanmar people. You won't meet foreigners there, backpackers. You'll meet other Myanmar and Indian people, and it's called Daddy's Home, and I stay there just because it's authentic. And And the place most recognized and visited in all of Myanmar by foreigners and Myanmar people alike is the fabulous Shwedagon Pagoda. This is more than just a pagoda. This is a complex of pagodas and temples that has been built on and added on for I don't know how long. Thousands of years. It's a spectacular place to go and to sit and to explore and to observe the Myanmar people going about their practices there of devotion to what some of these temples represent. Apparently they all have a different meaning and a purpose and a symbolism, and me being the ignorant foreigner, I just see it as beautiful art and mesmerizing concept of spiritual buildings built in such grandiose and artistic style that all I can do is sit and to look and to appreciate it and observe. And that's exactly what I'll do. I've been there a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, and you go in the daytime, and then you stay till the evening, and being there at sunset in the evening time is spectacular. You can spend hours and hours walking around Shwedagon, and it deserves hours and hours and days and as many days as you can devote just being there and observing it and enjoying it and appreciating it. A fabulous place in the world and the pride of Myanmar. The first time I went to Myanmar, I did a fantastic 3-day hike across the Myanmar countryside with this lady here. Oh, I forget her name because I would recommend her. She's in the town of Kalau. That was her helper right there. I went with these 2 other guys. That was the whole group. That was all of us. And we walked for 2 nights and 3 full days across the Myanmar countryside. And you arrive in a small village, and she will go and find a place for you to stay in a villager's home. It's a fantastic experience. It's a pretty hard walk, actually. It's not easy at all. They will send your bags out to Kalau, your backpacks. You just carry with you a small bag. And the walk is fantastic. And I'm so glad I did it, because the way that Myanmar has changed now, I don't know if this is even possible to do a walk like this across the countryside. And I'm just so grateful to having done it and had that experience. Absolutely fantastic. I didn't take any videos how long ago it was. I didn't take any videos. I just have these still shots. It's a place where you don't really feel comfortable pulling your camera out. So I'm fortunate to even have these shots, I feel like. And on the end of the 3rd day, you'll get to Inlay Lake, and your bags from Kalau will be there, and the guide goes on her own way, and then there you are. And it's another fantastic place in Myanmar, Inlay Lake. Just beautiful. Stay there for some days and just walk all around the lake, ride a bicycle around. Myanmar is just, like I said, just an absolutely fantastic and wondrous country to visit. But getting back to Kalau, which is the starting point for the 3-day walk to Inlay Lake. Kalau is a destination in itself. It's a beautiful town in the mountains. There's some very comfortable guest houses there. A fantastic market, of course, with delicious food stalls to eat at. There's just a pleasant atmosphere in the town when you walk around, and can take hikes, small day hikes throughout the countryside. And when I was there, I had the good fortune to meet a great musician. His name was Joey. He was out in the streets playing one night. I heard him. I went up, struck a conversation with him, spent some time with him that evening. He was a great musician, great singer, playing all his own original songs. And then he invited me down to a studio that he has with his friends, and I got to jam with him and Joey. Right on, Joey. I hope you're doing well in Myanmar in these troubled times. Joey's a great guy and a great talent. And I felt very fortunate to get to hang out with him and play some music with him. And I would love to go back to Palau anytime. Palau is just a lovely, lovely town to spend some time in Myanmar. Besides Palau being in just a beautiful geographic location in the mountains with just lovely people and just a very quaint small town to walk around, you can enjoy it, completely enjoy it. There's lots of nice guest houses there and places to eat. There are these also fantastic caves into the mountains, labyrinthine caves filled with thousands of Buddha images. I am guessing they are memorials to people that have passed or attributes of virtue to gain merit, and these caves are spread out throughout the countryside. They're a couple, 2 or 3 miles outside of the town. You can find your way there. It's not really marked, but you can find your way there asking people. That's another great adventure, just finding them. And then when you get there, there's no one there. You can walk around these places. I spent hours there. I brought people there, never saw anyone else. You walk around these caves and get lost in them. They're well maintained, and again, just so much to see that you can hardly believe what you're looking at. But the caves of Palau, the town of Palau, I highly recommend it. Part of my philosophy of traveling is go where the locals go and do what the locals do and be on the locals' time. So I'm gonna take this guy's cue and I'm heading off very shortly to the amazing, world-renowned, everybody what they think of when they think of Myanmar, the incredible archaeological site of Bagan. The archaeological site of Bagan is spread out over a vast distance, many miles. It takes days to see it. And of course, there are many different ways that you can get about this. Of course, you can hire guides and go on a tour. You can try to jump on some type of a public transport and go from one small village to the other and then get off and walk around. They have horse carts and wagons and mopeds and different kinds of ways for the visitors to get around, but I prefer going by bicycle.
Bicycling around Myanmar today. Having a very nice time, even though it's scorching hot. Coming down to the Irrawaddy River outside of Bagan. Riding the bicycle again today. Hello. Lots of horse carts around. Lots of boats, lots of puddles, lots of mud. Lots of very friendly people. Mingalaba! Very friendly.
Exploring Bagan is something I believe to be savored slowly, contemplatively, unhurriedly. There's so much to see. It can be an overload for the senses. The incredible buildings with fabulous background and the lovely people that you encounter along the way. You can go deep into the countryside on dirt paths where you won't encounter anyone but other Myanmar people that live nearby among the ruins. There's paintings to look at, sculptures to look at. There's just so much that it really demands a slow, thoughtful visit, in my opinion, unhurried. I don't think it's a place you could ever really see in a lifetime. I've spent weeks there. I don't know. I've spent easily more than 2 weeks there, and I feel like I've seen just the tiniest part of it, just felt the tiniest bit of what it exudes in not just spirituality, but in the essence of the Myanmar people. It's the whole place symbolizes what the people emit, their energy and their calmness and their resilience to what's happening to them in their geopolitical situation. Again, anything I say will never do it justice, but Ghana is a place, one of those places in the world you have to see, to experience, no matter how many videos you watch or books you read, until you've been there and you've felt it and you've walked around it. It's indescribable. Bagan in Myanmar. No words that come out of my mouth will ever do this place justice.
I go through this life, doing the best that I can. Sometimes you make that wrong turn. Sometimes I make people unhappy. No matter how hard I try, but I go through this life, doing the best that I can. Can't do no more, no more than the best that I can. And I go through this life, doing the best that I can. But I go through this life, I walk on that road sometimes.
In the town of Bagan, there's another wonderful pagoda to visit. It's called Shwezagan. When we went there during the daytime, they were setting up all these candles and told us to come back at the nighttime. It was a full moon celebration that was going on. So we did exactly that. Went, got something to eat, and then came back in the evening, and all those candles they were setting up had been, thousands of them had been lit, spelling out words in the Myanmar language, making beautiful designs, and there were just so many people there. It was just a pleasant environment. It was all Myanmar people enjoying this full moon celebration at Shwezagan Pagoda. Just a really lovely, lovely experience. It was soon time to get back on the train and head to our next town in the north of Myanmar called Sipa. This is a great train ride that takes you over a trestle built by the British. At the time, it was the tallest freestanding train trestle in the world, and looks like it hasn't had much maintenance since the 100 years that they built it. The town of Sipa is another one of those lovely mountain towns in northern Myanmar, and unfortunately you probably can't even go there anymore due to these unsettling situations that are happening there. But at the time it was a stronghold of the rebels and the democratic movement, and Aung San Suu Kyi's headquarters, the town of Sipa. And we were really fortunate to be there during this was the opening ceremony, a grand opening of this hotel that we stayed at. We were very lucky. We got to eat a bunch of free food and see some entertainment, and it was real curious. I'm not sure if this is a Myanmar or a cross between Chinese and Myanmar cultures that was going on there. It was a dance put on by the owners in front of the hotel before they served a big buffet, free food for everybody that was there. So that was really fun. We enjoyed that and got to eat some delicious food. Also in the town of Sepang, we were there, they had this local parade. I don't know what it was for, but it was curious. It went on all day from morning till after the sun went down, and it was a big circle. It just kept doing a big loop, and people were drinking and laughing, and everybody was having a good time. They'd hand us drinks of this incredibly strong whiskey, and the people were banging things and carrying floats. I have no idea what the parade was for, but it seemed like a lot of ethnic groups there wearing different types of clothes that I guess represented their ethnic group. I don't know. And these homemade floats, I believe, were then all giving to the monks at the Buddhist temples or monasteries that were nearby in the area. But again, it was the whole town participated in this parade. Really don't know what it was about, but we had a great time there. It was an all-day event. Everybody was friendly, and just another curious, lovely experience in the country of Myanmar, the town of Sipa up in the north in the mountains. Really, really lovely. And like all over Myanmar, just sublime temples and art everywhere you go. Walk down a dirt road and you'll find a temple like this. Sipa's in the Shan state of Myanmar, and one of the famous dishes here is called Shan noodles, and I can tell you, it is absolutely delicious. And this here was one of my all-time favorite places to eat. This lady here had probably the most efficient and well-stocked portable little market that I'd ever seen. So in case you didn't know, I started this trip out in Bangkok, Thailand, where I met my good friends. And then we headed across the border to Cambodia, visited the temples of Angkor Wat for a while, then left Cambodia again, traveled all the way across the country of Thailand, got to the far western border of Thailand and crossed into Myanmar, and then traveled all the way across Myanmar to get to this most western border in Myanmar, the eastern border of India, and crossed into India in a very remote, highly restricted border crossing. Needed special permission to do it, and that was the whole idea of this trip, to go from Cambodia to India overland. So we made our way up to Mandalay and tried to secure the permission slips that we needed to go across the country into a restricted area and cross the border into the official Myanmar government office in Rangoon, and told us that it was going to cost $900, $300 each for us to get the permission to cross from Myanmar to India. And they were going to meet us in Mandalay and supply us with a car and escort and a guide, a driver to take us to the border. 2 days, 3 days and 2 nights to the border in India. They told us that was the only way that we could do it. Eventually, we did get a permission for $100 each from an office, and but we did get it, and it worked out right to the last minute. So in Mandalay, we did manage to find an agency called 7 Diamond Express. They took our $300 and they gave us these pieces of paper and a phone number to a guy named Mr. Zin in the town of Tamu, and told us that was the only guest house that foreigners were allowed to stay at. And Mr. Zin would be expecting us, and he would have our paperwork that would enable us to get across the border. It would take us 2 or 3 days to get there, and they told us that by the time we got there, our paperwork would be there, and that was all we got. So we went on that trust, on their word. The next problem we encountered was trying to buy a ticket from Mandalay to the border. No one in the bus station would sell us a ticket. They said that that area was restricted to foreigners, off limits to foreigners. So we convinced one of the guys in the guest house that we were staying at in Mandalay to go to the bus station and buy us 3 tickets to the town of Tamu, which was a 36-hour non-stop ride in a minivan, and we made it to the town of Tamu eventually.
Nighttime. That's the road, man. Give you an idea. Guy just turned the light on. Kind of see. Yeah.
got back to the main road. We were on a dirt road for quite a while, and now it's stopped, letting some people off. Looks like maybe we might be getting to.
When we finally arrived at Tamu and found the guest house that they told us to go to, and we met the mysterious Mr. Zin, he was there, and when we got there, he did not have our paperwork. So we were quite concerned. When we went to sleep that night, he did not have our paperwork in hand. When we got up in the morning, Mr. Zin was there. He had our paperwork. He escorted us to the border, and the officials there very thoroughly checked all of our paperwork to make sure everything was in order. And they did let us go across the border into India, the northeast state of Manipur, highly restricted. There's always some kind of political upheaval going on there. We had to report into the main police station in the first town we came to in Manipur, and then we were in northeast India, and a whole nother adventure continued. And watch that as we travel through Nagaland and Arunachal Pradesh and Assam, and we made it from Cambodia to India, overland, safely. So glad he did it. I don't believe those borders are open now. Myanmar is in quite a state of political turmoil. And thank you to all the kind people we met along the way, all the lovely people that helped us and just extended us hospitality and friendliness. And we appreciate that. Myanmar, again, what a lovely country, full of archaeological sites. Really wonderful, welcoming people, and I hope them the best in this troubling times that they're going through right now. I hope they can get back to having some sense of order and freedom in their life again. Thank you to the good Myanmar people.
I'm not lost, you know the thought is my direction. No claim, no colors is my own, part of the whole. That's why I roll sometimes in the dust. I'm not claiming much. I'm not claiming much. I'm not claiming much. Except I know enough to not get stuck.
They want to check your passport.